Hey, everybody. Welcome to Recovery Nuggets with Luke and Alana. We are here talking about the third aspect of creating safety in a relationship. And we're going to talk about humility today. So I'd actually like to ask Alana what she's experienced and noticed about guys that understand this concept and how they utilize it in their relationships.
Hmm. Well, humility is one of the most important skills that you will learn. And humility is one of those things that sometimes we don't think of it as a skill. We think of it more as just this like spiritual attribute that you have. But it is a skill. It's a skill that you have to practice because our natural inclination can be very quickly to go to defensive. And anybody can have this. The minute I may say to Luke, hey, we need to talk, or you did this, or I feel this way because of your actions,
Or
that
you seem off.
you seem off. Yeah, those will instantly bring up a certain level of defensiveness. Now, however far you are in your recovery and your healing, can greatly determine how quickly you can work through that. It can take seconds, it can take minutes, it can take days, depending on your emotional intelligence and how well you've worked on this skill. But the men who can really figure this out, this creates so much more safety. Even to this day, Luke and I are 6 years through this, but to this day, I will still rate my level of safety to how humble he is. Because humility is not something that you can fake authentically fake. It's not something that you can fake for a long period of time. It's one that you can read through pretty quickly. So that is one thing that is a skill that needs harness. So what are some ways that men can start practicing being more humble?
I think it's that when I think about this biggest stumbling block for most men, it's not a blessing or a gift, but because of my acting out behaviors, because of them being so severe, when we started this journey in the relationship, I didn't feel like I had a leg to stand on. Like for her to leave the marriage, totally justified, totally reasonable. But for some men that don't feel like pornography is something that a marriage should be left over, they can tend to hold on to a decent amount of pride or a decent amount of I shouldn't have to listen to you or hear what you're saying. So the biggest thing that I've noticed with myself and other men is the humility aspect is it's completely when our ego's attacked or ourselves when we're busy self-protecting, it's doing the opposite of that, which is when information comes in, I don't have to own all of it. So when my wife says to me, she says, hey, Luke, you seem off. When Alana says, hey, let's go on a walk tonight, and we do a check-in, she says, you seem off. What I recognize is my ownership over that doesn't always have to exist really quickly. I can just go, all right, she's giving me information. Now I can seek to understand that information. I can hear it. I can listen to it. I can go, what does this look like? And that's a big part of this for me.
Yeah, that humility, it's not even that he has to have it in the second, though it is helpful. But that process, the way that you can really hone it in is learning to take information that your spouse gives you, to trust that they're coming from a place of seeing something that you're possibly not seeing, and then going and doing the work to figure out what is true for you, turning to God and how asking God to help you see this, turning to sponsors, turning to people that you trust and who understand addiction and sobriety and recovery, who can really help you work through where your blind spots are, because the reality is we all have blind spots.
Yeah. And the guy being able to, often we talk about holding her pain and listening, is that's difficult and that's hard, but there's so much truth in what she has to say. So I just want to speak to the men that are listening for just a second. If it's a message you've heard over and over and over again, and you're still going like, this doesn't make any sense, it doesn't make any sense, and now you're just repeatedly ignoring it, if she's still saying it, there's something in there that you haven't heard yet. So often it takes a big dose of humility to go, I really feel like I'm right here, but I'm really going to just shed all of my ego and really seek to understand what she's talking about.
Yeah. And as you do this and as you practice it, things can definitely, it's that muscle that can get stronger. And for women, trust your intuition. Watch for that humility, watch for that defensiveness, and learn to recognize it. Learn to recognize when his defenses are up, learn to recognize when those walls are up, learn to recognize what true humility looks like, because that skill is essential for true healing to happen.
Yep, absolutely.